It is an amazing old story wherein there was a businessman who had to travel across the globe in connection with his business. He roamed around almost every country of the globe and learned the languages of almost every country he traveled in. He was a very quick learner and was as expert in many languages as if every language belonged to him. He was alone in his family, and was living a freewheeling lifestyle, and that's why rarely he chose to return to his own country. He used to speak to the people of every country in their language as if he were a native speaker everywhere. Once unfortunately he lost his memory and was unable to recall anything with reference to his past and his native. It was very old time, and that's why any sort of identity cards or proofs were not customary those days. And having lost his memory, he was taken to many doctors, but he was unable to disclose anything, that where did he actually belong to, what was his country name, which was his native language and all, and as he was speaking many languages fluently, so even it was turning out to be very difficult to recognize that where did he actually belong to. In the long run, he was taken to the king of the same place. And the king heard the problem and ordered his minister to find out the details about that person to assure his safe return to his own country. Before the minister, many people tried hard to get all possible information about him, and it was finally decided that his native language could be a most decisive factor in order to know about his country, cause unfortunately he didn't have any family and friends from his country who could have been contacted, so the language was the last resort. In the long run, the minister took the responsibility and assured the king that he would reveal the details about him tomorrow itself, and thereafter that businessman was accommodated in the guest house. At night, when the businessman fell asleep, the minister accompanying his assistant barged in his room. His assistant was holding a paper and a pen in his hand. The minister abruptly struck the leg of businessman with his stick, and the businessman screamed and uttered something in a particular language. The assistant was ready, and the words the businessman spoke was instantly penned down by him. Following this, the minister apologized the businessman and returned. The next day, the minister reached to the king and said, "I have found out where did this businessman belong to." The king was taken aback on hearing that, as it was totally unexpected. The king asked further that how did the minister do that and where did the businessman belong to. The minister narrated what had happened the last night, as how he struck his leg and penned down the words uttered by him, and the words that were penned down were discussed with experts and they found out that which language it was and where did it belong to. The king was astounded and wanted to know that why was the minister so sure that the language the businessman spoke belonged to his native place and nowhere else. The minister replied, "This businessman roamed in many countries and was expert in many languages and other cultural traits. He didn't have a specific personality but was a blend of personality. In fact, he lost his real personality and the real identity. He behaves the same person who he stands before. His originality had already been lost." The minister further said, "But there is one thing. A person's superficial personality could exist only until that person is conscious. Once he loses his consciousness or is half-conscious, he wouldn't be able to recall the things that he had learned, but will have to behave absolute original. And sleep is not the state when we are fully conscious, and that's why the subconscious mind chose none other but that specific language." The king was taken aback on the wisdom of the minister, and the hall burst into applause. Later on, the businessman was taken to the same country where that language belonged to what he spoke, and having roamed in various places, a few people recognized him and admitted that he belonged to the same place. In one or the other way, this story belongs to all of us. Even if we don't have to speak many languages, yet our personality has many parts what we live in our daily life. Every one of us must have seen a toddler, or a small cute child. We clearly see a kind of innocence on its face. That innocence isn't seen just by dint of not being old, but the fundamental reason behind that innocence is, there is only one part of a toddler's personality what appears before everyone. Cause a child doesn't need to present himself in different ways before different people. Our life is spent with different level of people having different kind of positions and values in our life, and that's why we don't present ourselves in the same way before everyone. If you are a teenager, your personality before your teacher would be different from your personality before your friends. If you are a professional, then your personality is sure to be different in front of your boss from the personality that you live with at your home. We present our personality before a particular person in the same way in which we expect ourselves to be taken by that particular person. All of us do think that the characters that we see in movies or TV series are damn good actors. But ironically, in real life all of us are damn good actors, as we have the ability to play different roles at different times according to situations and people. Would you believe if I say that as a human our personality is so spurious, that even 15 to 20% part of our real personality is known by those fewest possible people who are very close to us? You also must have noticed that a person who if consumes alcohol more than a certain limit, his personality gets drastically changed. He no longer behaves formally before others and can't differentiate between do's and don'ts, and right or wrong. A kind of mask of our personality that we live with starts getting removed. You must have heard this as the opinion of uncountable people that alcohol makes a person violent, or a person with bad character, or a person who abuses. If you think so, then please understand this clearly, that alcohol doesn't have any ability to get any of these things done. Who can change your character or nature or intentions? No, none, but just you, and certainly not alcohol, which is not more than a chemical at all. Then what does the alcohol do? Well, the thing is that our brain has many parts that perform many functions. And the parts of the brain that are responsible to take decisions, decide right or wrong, or through which we behave formally with the people, that part is desensitized by the effect of alcohol, and that part of our personality starts getting unleashed, which is our actual and real personality. And that's why if a person appears to be a different personality, or shows some specific symptoms, then believe me, it is in fact that real person who you have been with so far. Just the thing is that he successfully managed to conceal that part of his personality, cause he never wanted that part of his personality to be disclosed. Yes, if you evaluate on medical grounds, then certainly alcohol causes detrimental effects on human body including your brain, but certainly it has no ability to change your character or nature. Most of the Western countries, from the beginning, have been following a culture which endorses to spend adequate time with the person who you want to marry in future, or who you want to spend your rest of the life with. Although it might be against some civilizations of the globe on the ground of their cultures, but the thing what we are going to talk about, it is must to follow the same thing we mentioned just now, cause if you meet a specific person for a short span of time, irrespective of the fact that how many times you do that, because a person who appears before you for short spans always tries to be in a specific guise before you, and it is the same guise in which that person expects himself to be taken by others. But if you want to understand a person's real personality, then you must notice all aspects of his personality, and certainly a certain continuous time span is required to be spent with that person. Cause even if a person disguises himself at times, it is unmanageable to keep continuing the same for more than a limited span. And you can get to see every aspect of that person's personality, course every person, after a limited attempt of disguising himself, wants to get back to his comfort zone, and a person's comfort zone lies in nothing else but being original. There is funny but true thing, do you know? When you are with a specific person, then believe me, that person at that moment is not the same what he is while being with someone else. Yes, his name will stay the same, address will stay the same, but how many faces does he have with reference to his personality? It is not even known to that person itself, so how would you get to know that?